Sonny Bunch, the editor-in-chief of Rebeller, and I am joined today by Jason Lee Howden, the director of Guns Akimbo. Jason, how are you doing? From New Zealand, coming in live from New Zealand.
I'm very good, thank you. It's very early and very cold here.
So, how is life in lockdown? How are you surviving?
Actually, really good. Like we're almost coronavirus free. Apparently, that's what the media is saying. So, they just we went down to level. Do you guys have the levels?
No.
We were at level 4, which is like maximum lockdown, and we just went to level 3 yesterday. So pretty much the same except takeaways are available now. So I got a burger and fries yesterday for the first time in 4 weeks, which was really good. So yeah, no, we're doing good here. It feels, I don't know, like I think I'm gonna miss it in a weird way because
really?
it's that sort of morbid, I call it like that morbid excitement of I don't know. It's been interesting, like, and just watching everyone sort of freak out. And obviously, it's a very terrible thing, and especially in other countries. But there's something sort of like, I don't know. There's a community feeling, which you walk around the neighborhood and you sort of like wave to people, and I don't know. There's sort of like a camaraderie when shit hits the fan, which I sort of enjoy. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I've definitely noticed that too. We've met more of our neighbors in the last like 6 weeks than we had we just moved to Dallas about 4 months ago. So in the last 6 weeks, we met more than all in the previous 2.5 months. But it has to be a weird time to have a movie coming out, obviously. Guns Akimbo hits theaters, and then like 2 weeks later, theaters are closed everywhere.
Yeah, no, it was unfortunate, and I think in some territories, like people literally had tickets to go see it, and then it was locked down. So I'm not sure what countries or regions that was, but that's it was kind of weird. I mean, obviously everyone's freaking out at the moment, and especially like the bigger films. I mean, I think. It was always going to have like a sort of a cult life on VOD and DVD and everything anyway. So yeah, I mean, but it's interesting, like, definitely not an opportune time, but yeah, it's interesting. Some territories it's really taken off, like Russia, for some reason. I don't know, it's like we're huge in Russia. I'm not sure why that is, but like I'm inundated with like fan art and like cosplay, people dressing up like the characters and stuff, and it all seems to come from Russia. So,
that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. I take it you weren't expecting to be huge in Russia?
No, I mean you can never really predict this stuff. I don't think anyone really can. With Deathgasm, like we were really big in Germany and Mexico. We're like, and I think those countries were like more metal skewed. Mm-hmm. Obviously metal's huge in Mexico and Germany, so I think that was part of it. And but you never know what people are going to get out of it. Like I went to Korea and with Deathgasm, and they didn't laugh at like heaps of the jokes, and then there was like meant to be a romantic scene, and they were just like pissing themselves laughing. So I don't know. It's always hard to predict how things go down. I don't think anyone really can. I mean, but yeah, it's as long as it makes one person happy, as long as one person, this is what I said with Deathgasm, as long as one person watches it and says, that made my day better, or I got a laugh out of that, that's enough for me.
Yeah. I saw that that Guns Akimbo was actually playing in South Korea too, not too long ago, a couple weeks ago. It was one of the first movies to be shown as they're kind of like doing limited reopenings.
We were number 2 in the Korean box office that week, so that's our claim to fame.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I respect anyone that goes out during the plague just to a cinema. I mean, that's pretty badass.
Yeah.
I was actually I think I was meant to head over there. I was meant to head to Brazil as well next month, which I don't think's happening.
Yeah.
But that's always the coolest thing is heading out and meeting fans, and I did that a lot with Deathgasm, and I'm really missing that. now
Yeah.
with Guns Akimbo, like that inability to go and connect with people personally, and yeah.
Yeah, no, it's hard. Do you? So why don't you tell us a little bit about the making of the movie? Because it's this is like a real indie thing with a big star and with fun special effects and a cool story. So why don't you just how did I'll ask an actual question here. How did you attract Harry Potter to play a guy with guns welded to his hands and thrown into
Yeah.
the midst of an online battle royale?
I mean, that part oddly was the easiest. I'm not sure that's what people want to hear, but like, so I had like a short list of, I think, 5 actors that I think that would be amazing as Miles, and Daniel was on there. And I think that was like a connection between the distributor and his agent. It's this weird thing in Hollywood where there's all these like weird connections that just that you never really saw coming, and they got a script to him, and I heard that he was keen to Skype, so I was like, okay, yep, cool. And I had like a big sheet of notes that I was like, I thought he was going to be asking a lot of questions like about character and everything, and I had to be like really onto it, and then so we went on the Skype, and he was just like the coolest guy. Like he just spent half an hour just like, dude, I fucking love your movie. Oh my god, this is like, I couldn't like there was just, the only thing he said is like, can my character smoke? Because he's a smoker himself, and I'm like, he's asthmatic, so it might be problematic. He's like, oh, that's cool. He's great, actually. Like, a really wonderful actor to direct, but also just a genuinely lovely, really intelligent guy. Like, he was a smoker. He'd have these things on his hands. I've got them over there, the guns, and but he'd have them on his hands. He could only really take them off during breaks, so most of the day they'd just be on his hands. And he learned to smoke with them, like he'd use them as pincers, like chopsticks, and like smoke with them, and all sorts. It was like he was too good with them. We had to try and train him to be to look worse with them. But yeah, that's how it came together. Like at the end of the Skype, I was like, so yeah, I mean, if you're keen for the part, we'd love to have you. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm down. Let's do it.
Oh, that's great.
It was kind of crazy because I was attached to this like Zombie Island movie, which I thought we were doing. It's like based on a video game, like Dead Island. I'm not sure if you played it, but I was meant to be doing that, which I thought was going to go ahead before Guns Akimbo. But then as soon as Dan got attached, everything sort of took off.
Yeah, well, this is an interesting kind of business of movie making question. Once you get him attached to it, does the money just kind of come forward? Does it just spring to the fore?
Yeah, there's a lot of puzzle pieces that come into play, and again, like, I'm not sure how aware people are of that, or I wasn't really aware. I mean, I guess in the back of my mind is like, this is how it works, but at the same time, how things came together like that was really interesting. So yeah, there's so many puzzle pieces. Like people with money obviously see Dan, and they come on board and definitely greases the wheels. But yeah, it's and so like the way it was set up, it was a New Zealand German co-production, which was quite weird. And there was money from like the Bavaria, actually, not Germany, Bavaria, which is basically like Munich, and yeah, so like they put in, like, the New Zealand Film Commission, Bavarian Film Commission put in money, but that means we could only film in Auckland, New Zealand, pretty much, and Munich, and those places don't look like America. So that was the biggest hurdle, really, is trying to like have this, this sort of like, I always had Chicago as a bit of a like my mood boards, and a lot of Tony Scott films as well. Like someone actually pointed out, like, Tony Scott, like, oh, it reminds me of Tony Scott, and I was like, that was what we were going for with the design of it. But yeah, and we couldn't have any American actors either, so it was all British, European, or like Australian, New Zealand actors. So that was another hurdle. But yeah, those things are just, like someone in a Q&A asked me, why didn't you shoot it in New York? And it's like, you fucking kidding? Like, it's not how it works. Like, and people don't understand this as well, but like you don't just like say where you want to shoot, or you don't say like exactly, you don't, as a director, you don't say, oh yeah, these are my demands.
Yeah.
You're given puzzle pieces and you put them together, and yeah, you've got to like just try and figure out the best way to put it together.
Yeah. So when you're writing this movie, what jumps out at me is that it's a movie that understands the internet. I think in a way that a lot of movies don't really understand the internet. That it has this kind of sense for the both kind of the revulsion at cruelty and also the reveling in cruelty that kind of play off of each other all the time on the internet. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you kind of bring that to the screen, basically bring the medium of the internet to the medium of film. It's a trickier thing than you might think, given how many people do it wrong.
Yeah, there were a lot of shots of like green screens that we were going to comp in later. That was my biggest takeaway from that. So much visual effects goes into all of that. But yeah, no, it's interesting that you pointed that out, because a lot of like a few critics called the film hypocritical. Like they said, oh yeah, you're trying to have this opinion about violence and people watching violence in the media and everything, and then like you revel in the violence, and which was the point. And a lot of people just didn't really get that. Like they didn't get how I was calling myself out for being a hypocrite, because I grew up as a horror fan and an action movie fan, and I love watching violence in that context. And and I guess it was trying to make a wider point about how we, as a species, we try and get away from it, but we do revel in that violence. And yeah, but I guess the point of Guns Akimbo is that it was originally trying to make a point about like the media, how violence is sold by the media, and as news, and very oftentimes very subjective. Like there's a very subjective point of view, and I'm not saying like any one media outlet does this. It's sort of a wider conversation to have, but it was about how the media sells us violence, and then it's war and destruction and plague, and then they cut to an ad and how disingenuous that feels, and how stories are skewed these days. So yeah, I think Richter and Schism were definitely like a bit of a analogy for the media, I guess, is what my starting point was. But yeah, I originally started the treatment in like 2010. So this whole idea of like people live streaming violence wasn't even really a thing back then, like that I was aware of at least. And it's interesting now that we get to this point, and like there was, even before we started shooting, there was like before we started making the film, there were like people Facebook live streaming themselves shooting people on the street and all this stuff. And then obviously last year we had the Christchurch attack, the Christchurch shooting, mosque shooting, which is horrific. And yeah, I mean it's really amazing how it became. It was sort of like almost a fantasy when I first started the treatment, and then it became something, something quite realistic. So, but yeah, I mean, it's yeah.
Yeah, it does have some great action scenes too. I mean, if I can be a little bit of a hypocrite too, it's got those great shots with Samara Weaving's character as she's, kind of just going through and mowing down, faceless goon after faceless goon. It's really well done. What was it? Is she, how was she kind of in terms of the performing the stunts? Was she doing a lot herself? Were you guys bringing in, stunt women to do stuff for her? But she also has this great energy to her. Yeah. I mean, there's like, she has this kind of like, manic, wide-eyed, like, okay, this actually looks like somebody who has been driven insane by the world in which she's been, kind of thrust.
Yeah, no, I think casting for her was I was really adamant that I wanted to get someone that hadn't done that sort of role and wasn't known for being like the badass chick.
Mm-hmm.
So and Sam came along and she was fantastic and really brave. Like, and both her and Dan as well. Like, there was never any like there was never any like, maybe we shouldn't go this far. Like, maybe this is too far.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, oh yeah, so the scene I go in and like I shoot like 40 guys in the face and like shoot this guy in the head and oh yep, great, let's do it. Like, and I think I really, because I've worked with a few, I think especially at film school, like my very first short film, there was an actor that was just a total diva, and as soon as an actor like turns on the film, that you can feel the whole set turns against you as a director. So like,
Mm-hmm.
it's, you never want to get into that situation where that happens. And I've been really lucky on both my feature films, that hasn't happened. And I've had actors that have been really committed. But yeah, I mean, Sam was really fantastic. She did have a stunt double, Jackie Gertz, who was amazing. She also doubled for Sam before on like Ash vs. the Evil Dead.
Okay.
So she's like an experienced Samara weaving
Okay.
stunt double, but she was actually fantastic. And like, you see a photo of them side by side, and like they look like sisters. So it was there was a lot of shots we didn't even have to do face replacement. It worked out really well. But that said, like, Samara really did like put a lot into the physicality of it, and she definitely went there with the role, which was great.
Yeah. When you're putting together shots and scenes like that, do you storyboard everything out? You're like, all right, this is shot 1, shot 2, shot 3, or do you just kind of go for it?
Yeah, no, I like to storyboard everything out. Like, I actually do it in a CG program, and then I've got like, I can set up cameras and set up lights and everything, and even get really like the production designer, he modeled like a lot of the sets in a 3D program and sent me the models.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've pretty much got like the actual set that I can play with. And then, because the thing with storyboards is they, like drawing them, like, even though they look really pretty, sometimes it's kind of an abstract thing. Like, when you get on set, you're like, we can't actually put the camera there because there's a wall there.
Yeah.
And little things like that. So doing them in a 3D program, you can actually like get really intricate with the lenses and everything, and hopefully just like turn up on set and just like match what you've done with storyboards. That said, like, some things you have to like freewheel it and be prepared to like throw everything away and just like, okay, could we do this whole scene in one shot? Could we do this? Could we do that? And there are those like hero shots, like, and especially like the crazy shots, like the spitting crazy shots, or like crash zooms and stuff like that. They inevitably get pushed to the end of the day, which is like really frustrating, because you have to get the story, you have to get like the actual performances and everything. But I always love like the dynamic shots, like the Sam Raimi style shots and Peter Jackson style shots. And but yeah, like, there's definitely a few each day you lose, but you look in your storyboards and like, no, we have to get like this shot of like a bullet spinning and like hitting a guy in the head and stuff like that. So you dig your heels in and fight like a motherfucker.
So you are have a lot of experience as a visual FX artist. Like, how does that inform your work as a director when you're thinking about these shots and how they come together?
Yeah, I mean, it's odd because VFX, you do definitely. And I did VFX. Well, I'm still doing VFX. Like, I've for like 10 years, like even longer now, I think, man. But you're looking at shots like almost quite abstractly, like zooming into like sometimes a couple of pixels, and so yeah, the refreshing thing about being on set and directing is like, obviously working with people and stuff, but like taking a wider holistic view of a film. And initially, like, I got a bit burnt out on VFX, which is why I wanted to like get back into directing, which I went to film school for. And but yeah, there's definitely a lot of like transferable skills, like visual skills. You learn to like look at a frame and like make a snap decision about why that frame doesn't look good or why it does look good. Also, like, every film has just got like hundreds of VFX shots. Even like an indie rom-com, it's got like paint outs and like cosmetic work sometimes. So the more you are informed about that, the faster you can go on set. Like if you can like put your hand up and say like, look, it's going to be so much easier if we like light the screen a bit differently, or like take some tracking markers away, or do this or do that, and little things as well. Like if there's a wire across the ground, like a cable across the ground, and like it's going to take like 5 minutes for them to like unplug it and put it somewhere else. It's like, no, just shoot, because it's like really easy to fix and post. And time on set is just so precious. You're just burning money constantly. So yeah, it's definitely handy, and I think a lot of producers are looking for people from a VFX background for that reason.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that about just like leave it there, we'll shoot, and then we'll take it out after, because sometimes I hear from people who are like, oh, we don't want to waste the VFX artist's time, having them spend a day getting rid of that like hat in the background that's not supposed to be there.
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes, yeah, and again, it's like you're always mentally making calculations about how much money you're burning, having Daniel Radcliffe and like 50 people watching someone like fiddle with a cable versus like, one guy spending an hour painting something out. And yeah, and it's tricky because sometimes in VFX you make an estimate about how long a shot's going to take, and it takes longer and whatever. But yeah, I mean, VFX definitely is easier these days with the technology that we've got, and it's having that knowledge definitely is good.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what do you? I mean, this is such a weird time in the movie industry with theaters closed and with production shut down. And like, I mean, literally, speaking of money, like I was just reading a story of Variety about like the thing that nobody can figure out is, how are we going to get productions insured anymore? Like, how are you going to, like, there are so many different little cogs in this machine that is making a movie. Like, what do you see as the future really of the business?
I mean, it's hard, isn't it? Like, fortunately in New Zealand, since we seem to have, for now eliminated the virus, hopefully we had our Lord of the Rings and Avatar shooting here, so, as well as some smaller films. So I guess a lot of people are hoping that, New Zealand can kick off filming again before other countries, which will, be great. But yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure what the answer to that is. It's definitely terrifying. I think for being a genre filmmaker, there's being a bit of a correlation in history where in dark times, genre films, horror films, action films have been films that people go to, people gravitate towards, which is, and there's probably a lot of reasons for that as well. But there's I'm talking to a lot of producers, and there's a lot of confidence there. Like, I think, people have been sitting inside and locked down. There's been a lot more meetings, which has been cool, because like being from New Zealand isn't as much of a handicap. I don't have to fly like for 12 hours to LA. Yeah. Everyone is doing Zoom. So I'm sort of on a level playing field, which is cool. I think the tricky thing is going to be international travel. Like, people are like, when are people going to be able to get on a plane and head to like the US or New Zealand or anywhere? Right. Like, I can't even go to Australia. Yeah. I can't even fly. I can't even get out of the city. So it's like, no one knows the answer to that. No, and saying that, I think people will, entertainment's important to people, and I think the last 4 years, 4 weeks we've been in lockdown in New Zealand at least, like people have just ingested so much media, watching so much stuff on streaming or playing video games. Like the latest Doom video game came out and it made 3 times the amount of the one in 2016 because everyone's inside and people are hungry for media, and it's one constant.
Yeah, that's somebody. A friend texted me the other day and was like, "When is Netflix going to run out of stuff? Like when are they going to?" And it's a fair question because if the whole Netflix model is like just put new things up every week, keep people on the TV and watching at all times. It's like eventually it's going to happen. So
it's going to be just like hundreds of horror films set in one room with like the one actor and
like the Unfriended movies. Just like we're going to have 100 Unfriendeds.
Yeah, that movie was sort of ahead of its time when you think about it. Everyone's. I predict there will be a lot of that, which is, and there might be some good stuff. There's going to be a lot of abysmal bullshit.
So it's going to be like normal then. It's going to be just
exactly
the normal state of affairs. Cool. Well, so can you talk about any of the things you're working on? Or not really.
Probably not really, because it is, even filming anything so abstract now. I mean, the cool thing is I'm working a lot of like different stuff, and that's the thing is like I never want to go out there and like totally repeat myself. Or there's a lot of like I'm working on something that's sci-fi and a possession film and a sort of a gangster film. What else? Like lots of like a superhero thing. There's lots of variety, which is what I love. Like and like day to day, like I just finished a pass on a script I've been working on, and then I'm just like smashing into like another one straight away, and it's like which is kind of crazy, and you sort of like have to like, right, what am I actually working on right now? I open up like Final Draft or Microsoft Word, and like I'm like, oh, okay, this one, and then I start reading it. It's like, oh yeah, this is all like batshit insane, cool, and I feel really lucky that I've somehow managed to, I used to be that kid like in school just drawing like weird scribbles of like like action, like people shooting each other and horror and stuff, and getting like detention when teachers found that stuff, and now somehow I've made a living out of it. So that's I feel very lucky in that regard.
Well, hopefully we can start that again soon once this
I
mess
hope
is over.
So. It's I mean, it's and nothing's ever certain. And I mean, I think but there's been a great reaction to Guns Akimbo from the people that like have given it a chance, and I don't know. A lot of people are already asking for a sequel. I'm like, oh my god, what would you even do for a sequel? I don't know. They're like, that's so obvious, and I'm like, how is it obvious? Like, it's,
is it?
I don't know. So.
No spoilers. No spoilers. We don't. But I could see it. I could see a sequel.
It's so real with sequels, because back in the day, sequels used to be seen as like a bit of a sequel, another sequel. Like it's, and in these days, people actually, I get like messages about Deathgasm and Guns Akimbo. People like, oh man, when's the sequel?
Everyone wants franchises now. Everyone wants all the franchises.
Yeah, and for some things it feels right. Like I could watch Friday the 13th movies until the sun burns out. Like just make one a year and I'll go see them. Like I don't care. Like I love that stuff. So, but yeah.
All right. Well, maybe Guns Akimbo 2 coming in 2 years. Well, let's get that. Let's get that. No, so Guns Akimbo is out on Blu-ray as of today. In the States, April 28th. Totally. When we're recording this. So.
Go check it out. Like, it's kind of crazy because they photoshopped the guns from his hands in this one.
Yeah.
Which I'm still not 100% clear about why that is, but
Wait,
My
they
first
took
film-
they took the guns off the cover, so it's just
Yeah,
his
so-
hands. He's just like standing here like this.
And he's got these like he's got tiny little hands, and it's really weird because I've got there's like the Walmart edition for like Deathgasm, and they've got guns.
Yeah,
And they had no guns in the film. Like I don't know why he's got a gun in that shot, but like, and they called it Heavy Metal Apocalypse because Deathgasm was too offensive in Walmart.
Sure.
And this one, they've like taken the guns away, and it's like 5 years. So I don't know, have things changed? I thought you guys loved guns.
Well, it's always tricky. It's always tricky. That is funny though. I didn't realize that they had photoshopped it out for the Walmart release. That's amusing.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to get a copy because I always dig that like weird that weird stuff. I mean, and there's always reasons behind it. Like I get it, you know. I mean,
yeah. Cool. Well, order it on Amazon or head to the Walmart and get the Guns Free cover edition of Guns Akimbo. That would be. Do they just call it Akimbo? Is it?
No, the word guns is still in there. That's fine, apparently. So I don't know. It's I was actually worried they were going to change the title. Like there was, I think, briefly in New Zealand after the like horrific massacre last year, I think they were banning people from having the word guns in their license plates.
Ooh.
I'm like, oh my god! Like I'm making a movie called Guns Akimbo. What's going to happen? But a few months later, no one gives a shit.
Yeah, everybody moves on from everything.
Yeah, pretty fast.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for being on. I enjoyed the movie quite a bit, and I hope everyone will give it a shot and check it out. Guns Akimbo on VOD because it's not in theaters because nobody's in theaters, and on Blu-ray. So hope everybody checks it out.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Look, this is gonna sound really fucking weird, but can you help me? I have guns bolted to my hands.
Yeah, you're right. That does sound pretty fucking weird.
10 million viewers. You have made history.
I never wanted any of this!
Fuck! It's over!
It's not over till I say it's over.
I wouldn't do that if I was you. You'll just end up blowing your damn face off. Then you'll still be depressed. Even more depressed, probably, because of your fucked up face.